Hey everybody, Kevin Duffy here from Mass Live, joined by Mark Daniels of the Providence Journal. We're here at 30-23 win. Definitely the closest game the Pats have played this season. Mark, your initial takeaways?
They struggled early. Malcolm Butler, I thought especially. I mean, you talk about third down conversions, and that's a key for any NFL game. But in the first half, the Jets started off 5 of 6 converting first downs when they were faced with a third down, and most of those came with Eric Decker with Malcolm Butler on coverage. Eric Decker actually caught about 5 balls on Malcolm Butler, and I want to say almost all of them were on third down. In fact, 4 of them, I think, went for first downs on third down, and that was a gigantic problem.
Right. The first 3, I think, on the first possession all went for first downs. Obviously, the other guy who struggled was Brandon LaFell. Yeah. I mean, he struggled would be an understatement. He had 6 drops today. And surprisingly afterward, he was really, I think he wasn't down because they won the game. He was very honest. He was basically like, you know, practice speed and game speed are not the same thing. And I've got to get back and I've got to work on this and come out from Miami and be better.
Yeah, it was an interesting contrast to the way Malcolm Butler handled it after the game. He was really positive, said he thought he played well, you know, and that Eric Decker gets paid too, essentially, and that as a cornerback he's going to give up catches. He said he was confident, and when he asked if his confidence was shaken, he said no about 7 times in a row.
Yeah, I saw your tweet. That was funny. Yeah, LaFell had some good lines too. He said that in a high school football game once he dropped 4 passes, but he made up for it because he had 4 interceptions on defense. Obviously today, he was not in position to do that. Someone who was in position, great game from Danny Amendola, I thought. He's been someone who just he's really emerged since the playoffs last year. He's got 191 yards now in the past 2 games. Craziest stat, he had 200 in all of the 2014 regular season.
That's insane. And really through the first 4 games, he had 10 catches for 98 yards. And in the past 2, as you said, he almost has 200 yards. It's a really interesting topic, Danny Amendola, with me, because when he signed on to replace Wes Welker and really didn't do it. But he starts to come up. He comes up in big games. He did so at the end of last season when Julian Edelman got hurt. He caught a touchdown in the Super Bowl. And now over the past couple of games, we're getting some drops from Julian Edelman. And Danny Amendola is he's starting to lead the way a little bit.
What I think some of that is, too, is the Patriots basically have done the same game plan all year. They've gone 4 and 5 wide against everyone. And nobody besides the Jets at times today has come close to stopping that. So even though LaFell comes back, the opportunities I think are going to be there for Danny Amendola just because they're playing 4 receivers. They're throwing to 5 guys. Yeah. One last point I wanted to touch on, Dont'a Hightower came back and was a monster today.
Yeah.
I mean, he literally, I think he almost like body slammed Chris Ivory on one play, just kind of wrapped him up and threw him down. He was great.
Yeah, he had about 9 tackles at the half, finished with 12. I would say between him and Jamie Collins, probably the 2 best linebackers on a team in the NFL. Dont'a Hightower is so important to this defense. He's one of their best run stoppers. He's also a good pass rusher. He does so many different things. It makes the Patriots so much harder to defend when he's out there in the field. And we saw that last weekend when he wasn't there against the Colts. Frank Gore kind of ran all over him. I don't think he does that and has a success if Hightower's in the game.
No, I think Ivory had 17 carries for, I believe, 41 yards. So this was the NFL's leading rushing attack. They averaged 146 yards a game. Coming in, the Pats really neutralize him. I know I said last point before, I actually do have one more. The Jets, they're a really good team. To me, this might be the 2nd best team in the AFC. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, I think their defense is one of the best in the AFC. Between them and the Broncos, offensively, they're really close to being pretty good. I mean, honestly, they're a Joe Flacco, Eli Manning quarterback away from being, I would say, an AFC East championship contender and really pushing the Patriots for, the AFC East title. They've closed the gap already, thanks to guys like Darrelle Revis and whatnot on the defensive side of the ball, and Brandon Marshall. This is a pretty good ball club.
Yeah, and here's why I think they're better than Denver. Denver, they have the names, they have Peyton Manning. The Jets right now have a more efficient offense. It's almost impossible to argue. Denver can't run the ball. The Jets are the best running team in the game. So I really believe that the toughest games for the Pats, down the road, it's probably going to be Week 16 at the Jets. I think they're a better team than Denver. So we'll see how that all shakes out, and we'll get back with you guys. Pretty quick turnaround here. We'll be back Thursday.
On to Miami.
That's right, on to Miami.